What's going on, everyone? Borales here, and now it's time to talk about Chivalry 2. I spent the last couple days playing this medieval carnage simulator, and I really wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on the game as a huge fan of the first Chivalry, and then obviously the step forward, which was Mordhau. So in the Chivalry 2 beta, you have two different game types you can pick from. You can pick Team Objective, which is the storm the castle type stuff from the previous games, or you can just do a straight up team deathmatch. And then obviously, no matter which one you pick, you have the two different teams from the last game that you can choose. You can choose Team Agatha, which is the blue and gold, and then the Mason Order, which is the red and black. Now, immediately upon entering this game, even from the main menu, you can see the drastic visual overhaul and the time these guys took to make sure that every little detail was spot on. If you look at the armor while you're in the game, you can see all the bits, the bobs, the bolts, the shinies, the reflections, the blood spatter. It's just so detailed, and it was amazing. Now, keep in mind, I did play this on the Xbox Series X, and it is a beta. I'm going to say that again. It is a beta, so it will have some problems here and there, and it is an unfinished product. But for the most part, guys, they could release this tomorrow, and I would say it was absolutely worth the $40, and I'll get into why in a minute. Now, back onto the topic of graphics. The maps are dense with details, you know, the ground textures, the foliage, the lighting, the sun rays, like the god rays, even the castle, the fog, that the mist that goes over the battlefield in the distance, you know, of the castle. You can see every little detail, and it's just so immersive. I was really happy with how the game looked, and the character models look fantastic. You can choose between first person and third person perspective. I don't know why the f you'd want to play third person in a game like this, because as I've said in previous videos, I feel like third person games just kind of rip you from the immersion of the carnage, and in this game you want to be pinpoint accurate of where the enemy is swinging, where you are swinging, how to block, how to riposte, and all that. So I feel like I tried it in third person for a minute, and I really liked the details of my character model, and I got to see my character. But at the end of the day, I switched back to first person because it was easier to aim, it was easier to fight, it was easier to survive. Speaking of immersion levels, let's talk about the sound for a minute. The sound in this game is so good.
Inside the castle! In the name of Margaret, guard the heir to the throne!
Now, I'm going to kind of divert for a second. So in this game, you can pick up barrels, you can pick up tools off of tool racks, you can pick up heads and throw them. You can pick up fish from a well and toss a fish at somebody. The clanking of the swords and all this shit that's going on in the background and next to you is so immersive and so intense that when you're playing, you're just like in a state of just constant anxiety. It's because you don't know if you're gonna get hit in the back, you don't know if you're gonna get hit in the side when you're taking on a guy one-on-one or taking on 2 to 3 guys at once. Guys, there were times where I was taking on 7 people at once, and I took 3 of them with me down to the pits of hell. But oh my god, guys, my god, the sound design is so good. There was a moment during one of our games where the Mason Order was pushing into our castle that we had to defend, and we had no choice. We had the sides quarantined off, so we built shelter, like spike walls on the sides of the windows of the castle, and then the only way forward without having to break through those and and them to suffer casualties and lose the game was to come through the front door. So my team and I was in a party with a couple other people, so my team and I, we all rushed forward, and we brought the rest of the team with because they saw what we were doing, and we literally just made a line of bodies. We blocked the door with our bodies and our swords, and we just held them back as long as we could. And when that enemy team came rushing up, when there's 30, it's 32v32, guys, keep that in mind. When 32 players are trying to funnel through one door, and there's another maybe 15, 20 of us on the other side of the door, and they're trying to squeeze through, it's unprecedented, the amount of carnage and the amount of yelling and screaming and swords clashing and heads flying off that's going on. It's just absolutely insane. There was another situation right after that we got into where when they finally broke through the door, it was a very close game. The enemy team had to kill our heir, the heir to our throne. And remember, keep in mind this is in team objective mode. So the enemy team finally pushed through into our ranks, into our castle, and they were going for the heir to the throne. So the only defense we had was, unfortunately, a corner of the castle because the air was stuck in the corner of the castle. So we had to build those tiny defenses just along the hallway to make sure that the enemy team couldn't get in. So of course, once 32 of the opposite team's players pushed into the castle, it was 32 versus 32 in the corner of the castle, and they were trying to break through, and there was fire bombs going off, and there were enemy team players shouting and swords going flying and heads flopping everywhere. It was just fucking insane. And I was laughing my tits off, guys, the whole time. Just in a constant state of laughter this entire time. All right, so let's get to the meat and potatoes of this gameplay review, impressions review, interview impressions, whatever this is. So the controls in this game and the gameplay style, I guess it has evolved, right? In this game, in Chivalry 2, you can pick up, like I said earlier, you can pick up barrels, you can pick up tools, you can throw your weapon. Everything just feels much more tuned and much more tight than it did in the previous Chivalry games, and even in Mordhau. In those games, the controls were good, but you had the basic block, parry, riposte, things like that. But you couldn't really interact with the world as much as you can in Chivalry 2. In this game, there are trapdoors that you can pull and watch people fall into the bed of spikes. You can throw just about anything that you see, minus a couple things that are static in the environment. You can mount ballistas and impale people with the giant ballista bolt, and then you can pick the bolt up and use it as a weapon. You can mount catapults, and you can launch, obviously, giant rocks at players, but you can also launch other players into battle over the castle walls. It's just insanity. One of my favorite parts about Chivalry 2, though, control-wise, is that I feel like the blocking, the parrying, and the riposting is a lot more forgiving than it was in the first Chivalry, and I think that's a good thing. In the first Chivalry, played on mouse and keyboard, I played it on PC, obviously, you had to be super accurate when you were blocking. You had to literally be looking at the guy's weapon with your crosshair reticle on the guy's weapon in order for him to block it. You could maybe be a few inches off, but it was very unforgiving, and it was very, very hardcore. For this one, I feel like it's made it a little bit more accessible for people, which also makes it more fun. You can survive longer. You're not dying every 5 seconds, and you can take on 2 to 3 people at once in this game, and have a fighting chance if you're skilled enough. You can hit them with overhead attacks. There's power attacks in this game. There's also class perks. So in this game, you have the classics. You have the knight, the vanguard, the footman, and the archer, and they all have their own different class abilities, but they also have subclasses under them. So I believe there's 3 to 4 subclasses per main class. So for example, there's 3 different classes under the knight, and you could be 3 different types of knight, essentially, and each type comes with a different weapon set. They come with different skills. For example, I was the knight, just the standard knight, the first one, and what my ability was for my class was I could drop a flag onto the battlefield that healed everyone in a certain radius. If you're the vanguard, you can throw med packs or fire bombs. It's just, and these things, these perks, if you will, or whatever you want to call them, they just add so much to the game that makes the game more enjoyable. So you're not spending most of the time in the spawn screen. You only wait a few seconds and then you're back in the action, and then when you drop back into action, you're actually just in a full sprint, and all you do is just hold your stick up or hold your up mouse button up, whatever, on your keyboard, and you'll just keep running straight into battle. And they don't spawn you away from the battle, so it's not like you're running from the beginning of the battlefield in. They just drop you straight into the action. Now, Team Objective was probably my favorite. You had Team Deathmatch and Team Objective as the game types, like I said earlier. Now, obviously, Team Deathmatch is Team Deathmatch. We don't really need to go into that. It's your standard, fight to please the king. It's 2 teams versus 2 teams. The maps are pretty cool. You fight in like a jousting arena in one of them, an open battlefield in another. But my favorite is Team Objective, and the reason being, and I believe this happens in Team Deathmatch as well, but the reason being, at the beginning of the Team Objective matches, when you drop in, they basically start you out with everyone's in a line. They're in a fighting line, getting ready to charge, and you can see the opposite team doing the same thing. They're several hundred yards away, looking at you guys getting ready to fight, and on each team, the team leader or the general is giving a quick speech before you charge into battle. And once the general is done giving a speech, it just turns into just a blur of just running. It's like running headfirst into a wood chipper. It's just, people are sprinting, everyone's double tapping the shout button to scream at the top of their lungs, and all you hear is clashing and like the sound of meat getting thrown up against the wall and then beaten with a hammer. And it's just 64 players just beating the merciless shit out of each other. It's just so good. Now, once that beginning fight is over, the enemy team will spawn back near their castle or in their castle, where then they can, mount the battlements. They can use the the throwing rocks down at the soldiers that are pushing the battering ram in. And it's a multi-tiered fight similar to something like Battlefield, where once you push forward into the next area, you have another objective like destroying 4 trebuchets, which is absolutely hilarious, by the way. When you destroy a trebuchet, it creates a huge explosion that blows everybody in like a 20-foot radius just sky high. And when you see bodies of knights flailing that high in the air, you're just like in a state of just disarray because you don't know what's going on. There's bodies raining down from the sky. It's just fucking ridiculous.
Could have went better.
Now, like I said earlier, this is just a beta, so I can't really provide a full review because I don't know if the price of the game is going to be worth it. But guys, this game is $40 brand new. Okay, $40. Now, the amount of fun that I had, and I'm still going to have going into Tuesday because the beta was pushed back a day due to some server issues. The amount of fun that I had in this game, I would pay $40 for it. I absolutely would. And I know that they're going to add more, and I obviously hope that they don't have microtransactions. I don't think they will. They never have in these types of games, just expansion packs. But I really hope they don't add microtransactions, and I really do hope they add character customization. So this beta was very limited. You couldn't even look at your character, customize your character, your weapons, anything like that. Mordhau was very good at that. Mordhau allowed you to customize everything from on your sword, from your hilt to the tip, just the tip. You can customize your character from head to toe in Mordhau, and that actually mattered. It wasn't just cosmetic. If you put on heavy armor, your character was slower and swung slower, but he can also take more of a beating. So I hope they add something similar to that in Chivalry 2. I would be very excited if they did. I would be okay also if they didn't, I guess. I would really like to see that, though. But for the amount of fun I had in this game, I would 100% spend $40 on it. Easily. Absolutely worth it. So this game comes out June 8th, guys. This beta is a closed beta. It goes till Tuesday the 27th at 10:30 a.m. So if you guys pre-ordered, or if you're able to get a beta key from the developers, or you just sign up for the closed beta and you want a key, awesome. Get in, jump in the fight. It is absolutely hilarious. You guys will have a good time. I love this game, and I really hope good things come for this game. Very well polished, very well done. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. I'm going to go impale some more people, but follow us on our Facebook group, guys. Please, that's really the only social media that we use for Talk Gaming because it's a very tight-knit group of people. We post game reviews, news, all sorts of stuff in there. We'd really appreciate it if you guys joined the group and interacted with us, me and Seventh Sword, personally. Other than that, we'll see you guys on the next Talk Gaming.